Well, I was asked by several organizations if I would come over to help and assist and try and get U.S. help for restoration, rebuilding infrastructure. As governor of Virginia, we led the nation in public-private partnerships, rebuilding our airports, our railroads, our roads, and we did a lot of work on the port. So I came over in a private capacity. I have spent 7 days here. I have driven 1,900 miles in 7 days. We've gone from Warsaw all the way through Ukraine. I spent time on the front. I was up in the battle zone, and I met with NGOs here. I met with government ministers here to talk about rebuilding. We've got to plant the seeds now in order to get ready to rebuild. They've lost, as you know, 1,000 schools, 600 hospitals, and they need help. And so I wanted to come over so I can now go back to the United States of America, and I can say, here are the priorities given to me by the ministers, by the business. I visited manufacturing plants while I was here. I went to see Save Ukraine, which it just breaks your heart to see these children from displaced homes who from the war zone, they lost their home. Their home had been demolished. These children, they're back in school after 3 years of not having any education over here, but they have no home. Many of them don't have parents.
And so you're seeing...
a 15-year-old child who literally had been abducted.
Yeah. We're going to get to that in a moment. So you're seeing with your own eyes... this terrible, obviously, humanitarian catastrophe, but also you can see, because you're there on a day when Russia has launched yet another barrage, some 35 drones, and it's relentless. So when you met with the commanders and some of the, I assume, the ministers who are in that side of things, what are they saying they need? How are they saying they're doing with the current level of weapons and support that they've got from you all?
Sure. And I met with 3 different battalion commanders. I was right on the front line. I saw our HIMARS. I saw 4 of them being launched into the air. Driving to Dnipro, we came under an air attack. We delivered some medical supplies to one of the most forward bases we have, a stabilization center for soldiers who have been wounded. And while we were there, part of our convoy got attacked in a mortar attack. So I've seen it all here in 7 days that I didn't think I'd experienced. I want to say this, first of all, everybody I met, from the troops to the commanders, I got to tell you, how much they love the United States of America. They all say universally they would not be where they are today in pushing back Russia were it not for the United States of America. They were so appreciative that President Biden and congressional leadership have come to this country. But of course, they're in a war. As everyone said to me, we need everything you got. We need more. And you don't blame them for that. These folks are dedicated. These Ukrainian soldiers, they are going to fight to the absolute end. They want their land back. They want Russia out of their territory. They want their lives back. And I'll tell you this, one of the reasons I came, Christiana, is that here we are in a democracy. Many nations today are moving away from democracies. Here we have a young democracy. We need to embrace Ukraine. This is a country that is trying to get on its feet to move forward as a democracy. And I personally happen to believe, the fate of what we have as NATO and Europe as we know it is this battle in Ukraine. Russia has come in here and they have committed so many atrocities against soldiers, children, and families. They need to be stopped. And they're appreciative that America and the other NATO allies are here. So first and foremost, they are so appreciative of everything that has been done here. 2, they need everything that we can possibly give them. And I happen to come from a place, let's give them everything that we possibly can. We need to defeat Russia. We need to push them out of Ukraine. And the Ukrainians are some of the hardest, most dedicated soldiers I've ever dealt with in my life. They are here. I met several of them who have been a year on the ground, no rotations out. And they're not going anywhere. They're here fighting right to the end until they get their country back.
So that's
democracy flourishes here in Ukraine.
That is really interesting that you're seeing that. A lot of what's been reported, but you as a senior official is seeing that with your own eyes and listening to that determination. So what do you make of, for instance, the defense minister who said, in an interview, in countries that are our partners, our friends, the expectation of the counteroffensive is overestimated, overheated. Most people are waiting for something huge, I would say. That's my main concern. Did you get the impression from either people on the ground or those in the ministries that there seems to be a lot of pressure from the US and NATO for these very soldiers to show results and therefore keep up the kind of support that you're talking about them needing?
Yeah, no, I didn't feel that from the soldiers and the commanders that I met. I think they, here in Ukraine, they are the ones that want to do this offensive. They want to push Russia back. They have been dealing with them for a year. They've had more success, I think, originally than people actually thought they would have. So I think it's really generated here in Ukraine. These folks are really, really dedicated. And listen, America, as the President Biden has said, we're here. We are standing with you through thick and thin, right to the end, as well as the other NATO countries. So, you know, I'm not here at all talking military strategy. I am talking to soldiers. Listen, they want to push Russia back. They want them out of their country. And they're going to do the military techniques that they think is going to be most effective to do that. But they do know that NATO and America, I can't say it over, it just was so, for me, made me so proud of our country that we are here and they are appreciative that America is standing side by side with them. So then every American watching this show, I want you to know Ukrainians love you.
I mean, look, that's absolutely true, because we see that and we report that when we're on the ground. They're very, very grateful for all the support they're getting. But I want to ask you this. You know your country better than anybody there. You have run for election. You have been elected. You are a big fundraiser for the Democratic Party. And you've got another election coming up pretty quickly. Do you feel that the people of the United States, the Congress people of the United States, need to see more results, like we saw on the ground in the fall when basically the last major time Ukraine pushed back Russian forces? Or do you think that no matter how it goes there, the U.S. people and the U.S. politicians will maintain this support?
I think, as the President Biden has said, we're with you through thick and thin to the bitter end. I think that speaks for all of Americans. We're fighting for democracy here. We're fighting for a nation that has been attacked. We are standing up for our friends. That's what we do in the United States of America. So put the politics aside and elections. We're going to be here and we are going to stay here. Americans, listen, we're a superpower. That's our responsibility. And with being a superpower comes the responsibilities that we have to stand with our fellow democracies and stop horrible aggressions like we've seen here in Russia. But let's be clear, when this war started just a little over a year ago, everybody thought, a lot of people wrote that Putin would come in, Russia would come in, they'd get Kiev in no time, and they would have Ukraine back. That didn't happen. They punched them right back. They pushed them out of Kiev. As I traveled around here today, I saw buildings that had been hit. They pushed them out. They've gotten a vast part of what was taken from them. They've been able to regain that back in the eastern part of this country. So they've had success. I think a lot of people didn't think that they would actually have. You've seen the fight in Bakhmut. Everybody said Bakhmut would have been gone months and months and months ago. These Ukrainians are fighters, and they're not giving up. And we are going to stand with them. Absolutely. This is the future of the world as we know it, the future of Europe, the future of NATO, and who we are as a country, and who do we stand up and fight for. This is the right fight. And I got to tell you, Americans understand that. We've done that through the history of this great country, the United States of America. We understand what's at stake here.
So you would say with confidence then that the Kremlin's belief that they can outweight the United States would be misplaced?
Yeah, I think what you have to look at here on the ground, and as I say, I would invite others to come over and experience the things that I have been able to experience for the 7 days here. Talk to families, talk to mothers, fathers, talk to children, talk to soldiers. They're in this for the long haul, and they're not giving up, and we're not giving up. And it's good, you know, this could be a long battle. I don't know. As I say, I'm not here doing military strategy, but Ukraine has had more success than anyone originally had anticipated that they would have. But I can tell you this, they're fighters. They're not giving up. I've been with them. I've talked to them. I have seen what's going on the ground. I watched. I was in command centers. I saw as they ID'd Russian tanks and took them out. I mean, I've experienced a lot here this last week. This is a tough fighting force here in Ukraine.